And hello again, it's me. Yes, it's painting time, or should I say priming. Now, what I do before I actually commit to paint is I get the airbrush and I give the actual kit or the area that I'm about to paint a bit of a blow, just to give all that fuzzy, dirty, whatever crap's on it. Anyway, priming. What I use is Tamiya's XF24, which is a dark grey. Now, all I do is simply go over it with a couple of light coats, and then I will come in with a slightly thicker coat just to make sure that I get a decent amount of coverage that actually covers the entire kit. Now, once the priming is done, what I do is I actually go for one of these. Come on, Lenny, hurry up, come on, come on. Right, it's one of them. It's a lens cloth, an old one. And basically what I do is I rub that over the entire kit, which basically gives me a smoother finish and takes all that sort of like dry crusty paint on the top surface off completely. Now, onto the scheme, wake up Lenny, you fool. Right, the scheme. Basically it's going to be black, dark ghost grey and light ghost grey. Cool, blimey governor. Anyway, what we'll do is, first of all, we'll go for the black. Now, all I'm going to be doing here is basically doing the nose cone or the radome, and I'll be doing that with Hataka, believe it or not, which is a night black, which is a lacquer paint. Now, all I do is, again, the same as I did with the priming, start off with a light coat, go over and over, and you'll get a nice even finish. If you go in too much and just blast it with the paint, you'll get drips and runs and it'll just look awful. So again, just take your time, nice light coats, no drama. If you're not used to actually painting as near as what I am here now, going into the cockpit, then I would suggest mask it up. I didn't, not because I'm anything special, because I'm not. I just find it a lot easier to actually do it that way than messing about with actual masking off tape, if you know what I mean. But if you have any doubts in yourself, guys, do yourself a favour, mask it up, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. So all we're doing is finishing off, just making sure we get a nice even coat all over where it needs to be. Right, the only other place that you need to actually spray the black is on the top surfaces of the wings, and that is it. What I would suggest is, because obviously there's going to be quite a lot of decals on it, is to make sure that you do a nice even coat all over, just to make sure, because what you don't want to do is miss something out, put the decals on, and you can see it a mile off. It will be a nightmare to actually remask it and redo it. So what we'll do is just take extra care as well, making sure you get a nice decent coat. And also, don't forget the leading edge of the wings. Never done that before, have you, Lenny? No. Anyway, right, all we do is, I would just say, crack on with the black paint, and it's really boring. Yes or no? Right, anyway, let me crack on and I'll be back in a sec. Right then, we're into the nuts and bolts of the painting. Now, what I'm using is Hataka's dark ghost grey. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm going to each of the panels actually on the fuselage and basically painting them. I'm leaving where the actual panel lines are as much as I can until I actually go over with the lighter coats. Basically, that gives me that sort of you know, that pre-shading look without having to do all the black lines. Now, once you've got enough paint in the actual panels themselves, and they look, yeah, okay, they look fine, then what I do is as I'm there, I'll go over them with several light coats until they are blended, but at the same time, they're blended to a point where you're happy that you've got it. Now, as you can see there, that's about 7 or 8 coats, and it's still quite, yeah, you can't see it. But anyway, on this one, you can. Now, well, yeah, I've gone over it a lot, okay? Now, again, it's the emphasis of light coats equals a really, really nice finish. So, let me crack on with it and bore you no more. Right, guys, I did say it was a lengthy process, and it is. Now, all I can say is, guys, just do it as fun as you can, light coats, and just enjoy it, okay? It's your main paint scheme. Now, what you can do is if you're doing an aircraft or a Phantom of another Air Force, this actual technique can pay dividends, because it'll be like your first sort of like stages of the weathering of the paint, where you've got thick lines, sort of like decoloration of the actual main sort of like paint scheme, and yeah, it can really work in your favor. But again, it's light coats all the way. Okay, excellent. Right, I'm nearing the end now of the paint scheme, so hopefully we'll be able to see it shortly. Right, and there you go. There's your finished, yeah, scheme. Grey and black, yay. Anyway, again, take your time. It's entirely up to you how much you want it to be sort of like pitted or discoloured. It's entirely up to you. Now, unmasking. Now, if there's anything in modelling, this is the thing I love to do, is to unmask. Masking, no, you can, that sucks. Anyway, unmasking is cool. And there you go. So you can see what you've done and what you've cocked up. Okay then, on to the next stage, which is the metalwork. Now, what I do to start off with is I start painting it with a black base. This is actually Hataka's Night Black, as in it's a lacquer paint. You can use acrylic paint, you can use lacquers, or you can actually go for AK's own black base paint. I go for this one because it dries a lot quicker, and you can crack on with the metalwork a lot quicker. Anyway, a nice generous thick coat is what I apply. How thick you apply it is entirely up to you, but I just make sure that I get a nice decent jet black finish. Okay then, first bit of the metalwork is this, Extreme Metals Steel. Now, all I do with this paint is I shake it vigorously away from the window in case people get other ideas, and I pop it in an airbrush and I actually spray it. Now, the best thing I can suggest you do with this AK Extreme Metal stuff is, believe it or not, spray it in light coats, and it will go down really, really nicely. Don't worry when you're actually spraying it that, you know, some will be a bit more metally or silvery than others. It doesn't matter. You just go over it and it will blend itself, and it will give you a really, really nice finish. So basically just finishing off with the steel, just doing some other coats just to make sure that I've got a nice coverage, and then we can crack on with these little buggers. Yeah, one thing I haven't shown you there is the aluminium. Anyway, what we've done is masked off what we need to do, and I have sprayed the aluminium on one of them, but at this particular moment I'm actually spraying one of the rear parts next to the parachute dispensary thingy-bob, and yeah, I wasn't happy because it was a bit too light. So what I did was I mixed the aluminium with the jet exhaust, and I gave myself a bit of a darker tone for the metal. Now see, there you go, testing it. God, you're good, Lenny. Yeah, nice one. Okay, move on. Right, let's see if I can get my head through the door. Yeah, anyway, right, carry on with the metalwork. Basically I'm just masking off little bits that actually need a darker colour or a darker sort of like metal finish, and here I'm actually just on the elevators and just giving it a bit of a darker tone using the aluminium and a lot more of the jet exhaust, just to give that sort of like darker, denser metal which you do see on the tail section. Now once that was done and I was happy, I basically turned really to the jet exhaust, which is quite a dark way. It's almost black, but it's very, very thinned. So what I've done here is basically gone from, well, the nozzle to the rear, and again very light coats, and it needs to be because you need to build it up slightly, and basically once you're happy with the amount that you've got on, stop, let it dry, evaluate, and if you want to put any more on, then by all means crack on. Okay, the last bit for now is the burnt metal, which is, well, believe it or not, metally, but with a bit of a goldy tinge to it. And yeah, it works really well with the actual jet exhaust. And same again, you'll see a very sort of like subtle difference to begin with, but again it's entirely up to you of how much, well, how less as it were, that you want on it. So again, once you're happy with it, stop, evaluate, and if you want to crack on and do a bit more, then by all means fill your boots. Okay then, with the masking off, you can see the finished thing, well, nearly finished. Anyway, you can see the different tones, the aluminium, the steel, along with the jet exhaust and the burnt metal. Now, if I don't say so myself, I like that, and I think it's rather good. I'm only saying that because I really don't do a lot of this, and when I do, I am nervous. Anyway, the last bit, which will be done on another video, will be some painting of some clear blue and some clear orange. Now, that's it, ladies and gents. That is the main painting done. Oh, just before I shoot off, the underside is painted with a light ghost grey. So you've got light ghost grey and dark ghost grey, and there you go. Oh look, there's a metal bit there. Happy with that. Okay then, so in the next video will be decaling, lots of decaling, and I will try and make it as interesting as I possibly can. But anyway, lots of decals and you'll meet this little bastard. Yeah, and yeah, so all remains to me say is happy modelling, keep yourself safe, and I'll see you very soon.